We're going to shift back to political now. I'd like to introduce Tabitha Ewert. She serves as legal counsel and media spokesperson for We Need a Law. Based on Parliament Hill, she regularly meets with politicians, media, and pro-life stakeholders, gives presentations to various groups, and prepares draft laws and policy recommendations reflecting their mission. Tabitha graduated from the Peter A. Allard School of Law at the University of British Columbia, following a Bachelor of Business Administration from Trinity Western University. She is passionate about seeing the human rights of the preborn recognized and protected by law. So turning it over to Tabitha.
Thank you very much. And thank you so much to everyone for tuning in to this Toronto March for Life live stream. You know, I do hope that next year we get to gather in person at Queen's Park. But I also really believe that these COVID-19 restrictions give the pro-life movement a very real opportunity. Part of that is definitely getting to broadcast this content through this live stream, but the opportunity goes even further than that. You see, every year we gather in the thousands at various legislatures across the country. The idea being that we need our government and our culture to see the injustice that is happening because of abortion. And we want them to know that this issue matters to so many Canadians, and it does matter to so many Canadians. We want to gather together to use our voice in unison every year. But this year we are scattered, but we can still use our voice. And that's why we're calling 2020 the year the March for Life came home. Because while we are scattered, we have a voice wherever we are, a voice to speak to our family, our friends, our neighbors about the importance of protecting preborn children and advancing legal protection for them. So many people across this country took this week to use their voice, putting up signs in their window, using sidewalk chalk, decorating their cars. Some even put flag displays up in their front yards. There were convoys for life happening as well. These people all engaging in small acts of faithfulness to put forward this message. I had one, a sixth grader, she reached out to us to let us know that she put a sign up on her mailbox because after watching one of our webinars, she wanted to talk to her neighbors about this injustice. We got other messages from people getting flack or criticism for being publicly pro-life, but who had the courage to keep going, knowing that it was worth it to speak out on behalf of the victims of abortion. They do this because this movement is about using our voice for the voiceless. Preborn children can't argue against abortion, so it is our job to use our voice to propel this movement forwards. Now, when it comes to making progress in any aspect of the pro-life movement, I want you to remember this. Look for the small acts of faithfulness. Look at the direction that we are going. It's a concept we've talked for years in terms of pushing pro-life policy. We want to see every single preborn child declared a person under Canada's law, but we don't start at the end. We start where we are with small acts of faithfulness, pushing policy that moves us in the right direction. Policy like the Sex Selective Abortion Act put forward as a private member's bill by MP Kathy Wagenthal. That bill doesn't challenge the entire pro-abortion narrative. Rather, it asks the question, is there at least one reason that abortion is wrong? Are we really okay with targeting a preborn child before her birth simply because she's a girl? And if abortion is supposed to somehow be a positive step forward for women, why is it being used to disproportionately target women before birth? As this bill gets debated and voted on in Parliament, we would love to see it passed. We would love to see it be the catalyst for all of Canada to become pro-life. But the pro-life movement isn't built on big, dramatic, silver bullet moments. It's built one step at a time. And a law like this may not change everyone's mind, but it might change one person's mind. And that's one step forward for the pro-life movement. And this work of advocating for legal restrictions on abortion, it cannot rest alone on the shoulders of people like MP Wagenthal or MPP Oosterhoff. You see, the political arm of the pro-life movement is not solely, nor even primarily, the pro-life politicians. Let me just say that again. The political arm of the pro-life movement is not just the politicians. The political arm of the pro-life movement is you. You have a voice in our political arena, and it's up to you how you use that voice. Because you see, silence speaks in favor of the status quo. Silence speaks in favor of having no abortion law here in Canada, of having preborn children being vulnerable right up to birth. Silence further isolates women who are facing an unplanned pregnancy, showing them a cultural ambivalence as to what choice they make. But we are not ambivalent. We care what choice she makes. We care that she does not feel like her only option going forward is ending the life of her child. And that's why we use our voice. We use our voice to say that we are not okay with Canada's lack of abortion law. We use our voice to say that it's not okay that women are denied information and resources by bubble zone laws that restrict pro-life speech. We are not okay that outside of abortion clinics here in Ontario, it's illegal to try and persuade her to choose life for her child, but there is no such restriction on pressuring her to abort her child. You see, silence in our culture means being pro-abortion. Our lack of law is not neutral. It has rather facilitated and funded 100,000 abortions per year for decades. You and me, us, we're the political arm of the pro-life movement. We must not be silent. We must use our voice if we want to see progress for the pro-life movement. You see, in this type of movement, one that is built on these small acts of faithfulness, using your voice isn't about how big of a gathering is listening to you or whether you are speaking on the evening news. It's about not being silent the other 364 days of the year. And it's about speaking up even when there isn't an election happening. The political arm of the pro-life movement, every pro-life citizen in Canada can use their voice by faithfully communicating to their representatives. Ask your MP to support the Sex Selective Abortion Act. I've heard from unlikely MPs that they support the idea of the law, but they need to know that Canadians want this. They need to know that their constituents want this. Also, use your voice to bring others into the movement. Talk to your neighbors about the Sex Selective Abortion Act. It's a great issue to start with, as the vast majority of Canadians support this kind of law. Use it to start a conversation that you can keep going. If it's not okay to end her life just because she's a girl, what reason is acceptable? Those are questions you can ask one step at a time, one small act of faithfulness, building this movement, building towards recognizing human rights for all human beings, working towards legal protection for preborn children. You see, we can't gather at legislatures right now, but being in our homes means that we can transform the way we see the pro-life movement. It's not something we do just once a year. It's not primarily something we do in large gatherings. It's something that we need to do every single day, every single time we act in faithfulness, one step at a time. That is the pro-life movement that we are building. Thank you very much. I'm so happy for all of you to join us today.